Well, I'm sure I'm going to get roasted in the comments, but I'm going to ditch this for this, and I'll show you why coming up. Okay guys, another video. Getting away from the YZ85 for a bit, but what we're going to do is rebuild this PWK Keihin carb that came off my 2003 RM250. Little backstory on this thing. It's been running really rich since I got the bike about 6 months ago. So I actually put a Lectron Pro model carb on there to see if I'd like it, but also to get away from this carb that I just straight up could not figure out for the life of me how to get it leaned out. And I did so many Googles and researches and all of the things that led me to thinking that maybe it was just a bad carburetor, because these do wear out. Inside this jet block, this little brass insert right here that you see can wear out. Also, you know, the slide could wear out. There's so many things about this that didn't make sense to me, that I'm not an expert at jetting these bikes, but led me to getting the Lectron, and it's been running good. I have there's no issues with the Lectron. I have it fairly jetted, decent, you know, from what I feel like jetting is. But then I got back to this a couple weeks ago. I'm like, okay, I'm going to tear this thing apart again. So I've already got the 7 slide, which is what people have recommended that you get. The 7 slide versus the 6.5 that is stock. You know, the cutout's different. The 7 slide is going to be a little leaner on the bottom. These cutouts are different down here in the bottoms. There's a notch on the 6.5. Not a lot of people know what that is for. There's no notch on the 7. I think it's to help out maybe your idle adjustment or something like that, but I couldn't find a definitive answer. So we got the 7 slide. I've got the JD jetting kit that's up here. All these things in here. I jetted it per JD jetting. Could not figure out. And so once I took this jet block off, this mid-body gasket. I'm going to try to get this better on camera here, but this thing is about as in bad a shape as I've ever seen a gasket. It's paper thin. These 2 little pieces came off that actually go around these 2 holes here. It just tore off. So, you know, this little part here where this sits in, this gasket, I guarantee you, has been leaking this whole time. And this is the main point of this video that I'm making here, is that if you have a rich leaning or a rich running 2-stroke, 4-strokes too, I guess they still run similar carburetors. Now again, this is for my 03 RM250. There's so many other Keihin PWKs out there that are very similar. Pretty much everything's going to run a block like this, and there's always going to be some kind of gasket in here. McCuney's are a little bit different, but yeah, I figured out that this thing here, this mid-body gasket, is in bad shape. So I ordered the all balls kit, the rebuild kit for the RM250. Comes with all the gaskets. With a caveat to that, it didn't come with this gasket, actually. You have to order this mid-body separate in its own all balls kit. Comes with the gasket, the two screws in there that they're called tamper-proof screws. Let me take this out real quick. Actually, here's the old screw right here. So the tamper proof. See if I get the. It's got a little. It's basically a Torx with the little dot in the middle of it, which is kind of nice. That the All Balls actually sends. All Balls actually sends you the correct tool. Dang, this camera is having a hard time focusing. With the little hole in the middle of it. So yeah, here we are. We're obviously completely torn apart. I have cleaned and degreased and blown this thing out with compressed air and all the things. So I've got the power jet taken out. The everything should be, I mean, perfect to reassemble, to try to see if this actually cleans up my jetting or not. I went so lean. I couldn't have gone any leaner. I went as lean as you can go on the main jet, on the pilot jet, almost there. I thought maybe it was the choke that was affecting it. I changed the bowl height adjustment. Nothing worked. And yeah, lo and behold, this little gasket in the middle is probably my problem. You know, so we're going to get rid of these old gaskets. These are some of the old gaskets that came out of it. I've got obviously all brand new gaskets, new O-rings, and new everything. So we're going to start putting this thing together. I've even got new hardware that's going in the middle, in the inside here. So we're going to use the JD jetting kit. They send this little form here. We got some oil on it. Looks like crap, but they send this thing here, and it actually tells you exactly, you know, what they recommend. Their needle. We're gonna use the red top needle here with the clip in the right position. That it calls out here. It's going to be a good baseline. So that's kind of what we're going with. Yeah. So let's get to it. Let's look at the JD jetting. We're gonna go that's altitude and temperature. Move the main jet. Replace the main jet with the 168 main from the kit. There's, let's see, sea level to 3,000 elevation. The pilot jet will also be visible. This is just if you have the bowl off. Pilot jet will also be visible. Place the pilot jet with the 45 pilot. didn't put the power jet back in, which this circuit here is a solenoid that sits in here, right? There's your solenoid. It gets powered 12 volts. I've already checked that. It does work. Goes in this, but this is your circuit, your power jet. And if you look at your bowl, there's your power jet hole right here. Bump the camera here. There's your power jet hole right here. And this little hole right here, move my hands, that sucks fuel from the bottom of your bowl through this hole, through your power jet, which is this little guy here, right? That microscopic hole there. And when this opens, this solenoid allows fuel to come up through this circuit. So it comes up through this hole here, through your power jet, and there are different jets. Through your power jet up here, solenoid opens, allows fuel to come through this port here and out your power jet nozzle here. So when your slides open, and that's where your throttle position sensor is important, because that's what ultimately sends signal where your slide's going to be up and down. And there's a little cutout here. The slide, the 7 slide, so there's a little 7 here. Stock is 6.5 on these 2003s. I think 04 and later went to a 7 slide, and that's why they recommend it. These 7 slides down low adds a little crisp, it feels better. So we're going to throw the red needle in, which I'm pretty sure that's what JD Jetting calls out. Red in the 4th groove. It actually shows right here where that 4th groove is at. This needle is important because it tells the needle where to sit in the slide. So we'll go 4th groove, which is actually really rich. compared to where it's been, so throw that in the 4th groove. I think typically you want to stay right around the middle, 2, 3, 4. Once you go to the far extremes of like where 1 and 5 are, then you might need to go to a different needle. So, and depending on the needle is the taper. So those are pretty close to the same. This is a blue needle, red needle from JD Jetting. You can see the tapers maybe a little bit different, but you go to more of a, you can see a little bit different there. Drastically different there. This is much smaller, much richer of a needle. Fatter the needle, the leaner it's going to be. And then it depends on the taper of how it sucks fuel out of the bowl. So now we're going to put this in the 7 slide. Throw that down there. Put this in, which is also a 6mm. I like doing these by hand, making sure you line them up. There you go. Nice and lined up. Okay. And just barely snug that thing down. So now your needle's in there. It should spin. So even with this tight, this is gonna spin. It should have, but no free play up and down. It should still be pretty well locked in there, but no play this way. So from there, we're gonna throw this in here after we pull this out. And it sits in there just like that. So when the slide comes up, there's your throttle position sensor. Starts moving that thing up. All right. Just like that. But what we're gonna do before we put this on, the cap and all that, is put my throttle cable in here, get that all situated. This can go, actually it goes in there like this, goes in there like that. So this thing is pretty well ready to go. I'm gonna throw some tubes on here, cut those to length. So I got some tubes over there, but I'm gonna do new tubing for it, and then we're gonna throw this into the bike. All right, well, we're out at the track now. We are the only ones here actually today. Got the carb mounted up. Still got to clean up some of the tubing, but wasn't that bad to put back on from the Lectron. If you guys have ever done that, it's a pretty easy swap. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's a little cold out today, probably 38 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So it might be running honestly a little lean for how it is, a little on the cold side obviously, so we'll see how that goes. But if you guys haven't ever seen this bike before, here it is. It's my 2003 RM250. Pretty clean. It's got about 25 hours on the full rebuild. So try to go rip this thing today and test out the carb settings. Hey guys, we're back in the shop. Rode the bike quite a bit yesterday. I think I'm honestly going back to the Lectron. The PWK, while that mid-body gasket did fix most of my jetting issues, my problem is I'm not an expert at jetting. These carburetors are there's a lot of information out there for them, but they're definitely finicky. And so while I'm not going to give up completely on the PWK, the thing that I like the most about the Lectron is just that it's reliable at this point. I have probably 15 hours on the bike with Lectron. It's not the same as the PWK when it comes to the power, but at the end of the day, I can show up to the track, I can ride it, and I can honestly say that there's not as much power, but there's still enough power that me at almost 40 years old and a vet intermediate rider, the bike handles and it runs really well for me. So when it comes to being able to just show up to the track, I'm just going to go back to the Lectron for now. I might update this a little bit later to see if I go back to the PWK. I might try the JD jetting PWK because maybe I've just got a bad carb. The carburetor was definitely boggy. It still seemed like it was running rich. I did change jetting while I was even at the track, and it just isn't 100% right, and I don't have a lot of confidence in it. So when it comes to that, being able to just show up to the track, I think the Lectron for me personally is probably the best option. So whatever you guys feel like is best for you, that's probably what you need to do. If you got confidence in a good jetting PWK, I say run it. The Keihin is definitely been proven, but yeah, we'll keep running the Lectron for now. Obviously, I still have my issues with that. It kind of falls off on the top end a little bit. It doesn't make the most power overall, and so that's kind of why I'm just I'm gonna go back to trying the Keihin at some point. I need to dig deeper into it. But with that said, that concludes this video for the Keihin PWK rebuild. Again, check your mid-body gasket. So that thing definitely was an issue. I could never get it, the bog to even go away. And now the jetting is close. It's not perfect, but it's definitely not doing the same thing it was. Just going to go back to the Lectron for now. I think, again, that it's reliable, and that's where I'm at mostly of all of this. Does it make as much power? No. You can Google as much as you want out there, and you're going to see that the Lectron typically doesn't make peak horsepower numbers that a good jetted PWK makes, but it works. So yeah, I hope you guys found use out of this. That's kind of what I'm going for. I'm not an expert by any means on any of this stuff, but maybe you learned something. Maybe you can get something out of these videos. So yeah, comment below if it helps you out. Like, subscribe, all the good things that YouTubers say, and catch you in the next one.